Hello and welcome guys, I'm again Videos here today with a tutorial on how to create a team logo that you can often see in sports or the gaming community, for example League of Legends or especially Counter-Strike Global Offensive. So let's jump right into Illustrator, and I've got this reference image of a king cobra here that I'm going to just throw into Illustrator and enlarge it by holding Shift and Alt. Then I'm going to give it a lock so I can't move it. Rename it by double clicking on the layer, call it reference pictures and double clicking on it, as you can see here, and set dim images to 50%. Then create a new layer and call it artwork. So let me explain you right now. There are two different techniques that you can use. Some people are just going to get some reference images of Google or so and then going to use the pen tool, as you can see here, to like trace the animal or whatever you are going to trace, and that actually works pretty well. But I'm kind of going to use a technique that is combining two of these available techniques, and yeah, I'm going to get reference images, put them around my work area, and then I'm going to draw something on like paper or just imagine it in my mind, and then I'm going to just start off right at my work area. Kind of keep it in mind, looking at the reference images and just starting from there. So grab your pen tool by pressing P, get a black foreground color, make sure that you don't have a path, or better a stroke color selected. And yeah, before we actually start tracing our animal, we are going to go for the font work. And since it's kind of for a gaming purpose, or the logo is for a gaming team or so, we're going to use something that looks very sporty and active, maybe a bit of aggressive, because we're going to use a snake right here. So I've chose the font NFL Vipers and mandatory. Sorry, NFL San Diego. So let me check what looks better right here. I think the NFL font looks better. Let's trim down the vertical scale by clicking on character and putting it down 80% to 80%. Yeah, let's choose this font right here. Hold on Alt while dragging it. Then click on Object Expand to expand it and get rid of the text editing possibilities or capabilities. And what we're going to do now is add like a little triangle shape to make it look more aggressive. As you can see here, I made it real quick with the pen tool. Then just, I think it's a bit too big. Zoom in by pressing Z, then holding again Shift and Alt to drag it proportionally, or to make it constrain the proportions. As you can see here, that looks pretty good. Hold down Alt while dragging it. And we are having a little issue here on the V, but that's not a problem. We are just going to zoom in, press A to grab a single anchor point and drag it right to the right side of our V right here. Zoom out by pressing Z and Alt. Then just continue dragging the shape to our different letters. As you can see right here, not right on the left. Yeah, that's perfect. Also here we got a little issue, but just press P, add an anchor point and drag the right anchor point to the letter. Also, this looks kind of weird because everything is very edgy and hard, but this is round. So just press Command and R to get those guidelines and drag them out to match. Then point out our anchor point, hold down Alt while clicking on the anchor point with our pen tool selected. And there we go, nice and edgy. I did consider to round up this edge too, but actually this looks kind of good when the down left one is rounded. And yeah, let's go for it. Let's don't change it. There we go, our font work is finished. This looks pretty good, but I think we could also adjust the vertical scale a bit. So yeah, this looks okay. First of all, put them to the side. We're going to concentrate on our snake illustration now. So, as I mentioned before, grab your pen tool, and when you're using my technique, you have your reference images around, and kind of keep in mind how you want to illustrate the snake or anything you want to illustrate. So I'm starting off with a little spline right here that's going to illustrate our snake's body. I'm also just going to make the head. And to make this snake look a bit more aggressive, I'm going to add like those very sharp edges right around the body, so it looks kind of, yeah, more aggressive. So this looks kind of weird right now because I'm not using a stroke, I'm using a fill color, but you're going to see how it looks like when you're using the pen tool very often. You can just basically imagine how it will look like, so there's not a big problem right now. Just try to imagine how the shape of your animal that you're going to illustrate looks like. You could also just draw on the reference images that I showed you, but this is kind of a more advanced technique and it's going to let you imagine, or yeah, going to let you more space to imagine how your illustration will look like. So I kind of really like this style. Many people prefer to just draw on their reference images, but yeah, in the end you decide and everything works. So this looks kind of amateur and very bad, but still we're going to edit this to make it look real good. So since Adobe CC has a new feature that when you grab a single or many anchor points, there is a little button that you can drag in or out, so it kind of rounds up the edges. As you can see there, those white circles. You can also just use the tool when you're pressing A to drag out specific anchor points or even curves when you're dragging them, but you have to be very carefully because when you drag a spline, all the anchor points around it will going to adjust automatically and there are going to come some issues with them. So you kind of have to, I would prefer to grab every anchor point handle itself and move it manually. The results will be way better, but still it can be a good help when you're dragging all those splines around. What I'm going to do now is just basic readjusting, because yeah, there are some, I would say, one-take wonders out there that can make very perfect lines and everything just from the beginning, but I'm going to adjust it one by one. And yeah, of course, in 1 hour you can't just basically make a perfect logo that you can sell in the end for like $300 or euros. So put some time in and you are going to get a very nice and clean logo. So don't be distracted by this look right now. What I'm doing now is grabbing my pen tool so I can use the pathfinder on the right side. If you can't find it, go to Window Pathfinder, then subtract it, and I'm drawing basic shapes right here that look like spiky things, so the snake looks more aggressive. As you can see here, I made the shape, selected it, clicked on my snake body, and then press subtract. Make sure that your new shape that you're going to draw, like these spiky things, are on the top of your snake body, so it subtracts it from the top to the bottom. As you can see here, you can move single anchor handles by pressing Alt while selecting the handle point. And yeah, so to make it look more realistic, or to let the user see that there's actually the beginning of the head of the snake, I'm going to cut out a bit of this part right here. Going to make it smooth, not use many anchor points. That's it, subtract it, and there we go. Okay, we are kind of getting the style very slowly but effective. So let's create the aggressive eyes of our snake. We are going to just make some straight lines, a bit of rounded edges right there. Yeah, this looks aggressive. Oops, I just made the anchor point a bit to the right, so let's just drag it there. Click on unite, so the anchor points unite. And yeah, this looks actually good. Let's place the anchor point a bit down. Yeah, that looks aggressive. Press R to get the rotate tool. Kind of rotate it a bit. Give it a color so you can see it on our snake body. Yeah, scale it down a bit by pressing Control and Alt while clicking on it with the V button. Then again, use the Pathfinder tool to subtract it from our snake body. Also these, yeah, when you're using the Pathfinder there, it's going to create a bit more of anchor points that are going to be a issue when you just want to move one anchor point. So make sure that you zoom in, press P and click on the anchor point. There comes up a little minus. That means that you can delete your anchor point. So basically try to have as less anchor points as possible, so everything looks very round. And there you see, I use the Illustrator CC function again, where you can round up edges by clicking on the anchor point and dragging the white circle. That's a pretty nice feature. It was a lot of time consuming work doing this by hand. So yeah. Now we are going to create the tooth of our snake. Also make it very edgy but sharp. Give it a bit of roundness so it looks better, as you can see here. There we go. Just click on it while holding down Alt and dragging it to the right side, so we have two perfect identical tooths or teeth. And when you adjust these splines or anchor points manually, you can see that the handles kind of have to create a perfect straight line. So there is no like edge or something, or it's broken up and going to look edgy. So make sure that you have those handles always in one line. Let's create the teeth on the bottom of our mouth of the snake right here. So the head looks a bit weird of our snake, so I'm just going to adjust this one right here. Grab the handle by pressing Alt and dragging it up. Just go anchor point by anchor point, adjust it to make it or to give it the perfect look that you want to achieve when creating your logo. It's very time consuming in the end, but a logo is like the master art of showing your business or anything. So it's the first thing your customer is actually going to see, or who is going to like connect you with. So yeah, put that time in. It's very effective. And yeah. Yeah, when you're getting this kind of error right there, just click OK, and it came up because you misclicked the handle actually, and it couldn't find an anchor point to deal with. So just click OK and try to click on the anchor point handle again. Grab the anchor point again, drag out the circle to make it look more smooth. This looks good right there. This looks kind of weird. Like, doesn't look natural. Drag out the anchor point a bit, grab the handle right there, and make it look more like going in aggressively and hard. Grab the anchor point handle. Oh, misclicked again. This looks weird. Press Ctrl Z to redo your step. And there we go. We're slowly getting our snake actually. So many of you didn't really know that you can like, or my friends actually told me that they didn't know that you can drag anchor points that are like in a compound path, that you can drag them around in a shape that you before just subtracted. Like grab all the anchor points in this kind of snake body, like I did just with the eye, drag them all together and pull them somewhere, and it's going to work. Like many people actually miss some anchor points and they kind of get issues and thought that it's not going to work. So I just created the eye of our snake to make it look really aggressive and mad. So yeah, we're getting the effect right there. See how it looks with a different color. Yeah, it looks good. I think we're going to use a green later on when coloring it a bit. So let's start with our tongue. Well, I'm going to try to make it look a bit wavy, as you can see in the reference image, but this is going to be very hard because actually the tongue is very thin and I don't want to give it much attention, but it should look a bit more thick actually. Otherwise you can't use it in your logo, because when the logo is like in game of your game, people should see it. But if they are like very tiny and thin, shapes in it, people can't see it really. And also the offset path function won't work really well with it, because there's like a meter option in it that's going to extend like very tiny and thin shapes, and this is going to give you some issues. So make sure that you always have some nice and thick shapes so you don't run into issues later on. So give it some adjustments right here. This looks good actually, and I'm just going to skip all this work because it was very tiny or a lot of steps actually. So I'm happy with the shape of our tongue, and let's give it a nice border and subtract it from our snake body. So grab your tongue, press Command and C or Control and C to make a copy, then Control and F to paste it right in front of this one. And actually before giving it a offset, kind of recolor it so you can see, then click on Object, Offset Path, click on Preview, and I think 10 is too much, like 2. And there you can see the meter option that I told you about, like the meter limit. As you can see, the spikes at the end got fixed. So that's an issue actually. Yeah, I gave it 2 pixels, as you can see there. I just dragged out to see. Then click both parts, like the tongue, the orange tongue and the offset path. Click on Unite in the Pathfinder and then select your offset shape and the snake body and click on Subtract to get this kind of effect right here. It looks very cool and it's very often used in like logo illustrations. Actually, I think it's a bit too thin and 2 pixels were too less, so I'm going to adjust this later on by just dragging out the different shapes to the left or to the right. Also, make sure that you save your logo or a lot of time is going to be wasted. So, by pressing Ctrl and U, you can get those smart guidelines that are going to show you where actually a path or anchor point is, and it's going to guide you along perfect lines or the center of some objects. And I'm just going to add some spiky edges on the snake body again to make it look more aggressive. Just the same thing over and over again, but it actually looks very good, I think. So to make the nose a bit more, if you can tell it a nose, I don't know how it's called actually. So just call it nose. If you want to make a more realistic nose, I'm going to round up this right here. So yeah. As you can see there, I'm always trying to achieve a perfect straight line on my anchor point handles. I just clicked on the anchor point with my pen tool selected and Alt, so it straightens up and deletes all the anchor point handles. And yeah, let's create the nostrils of our snake, and I'm just going to follow the shape of our nose right there. I'm going to create a round shape. Give it a color so you can see it on the body. And select the nostril shape. Make it a bit bigger by pressing V so you can get those transform box. Select both shapes again and use the Pathfinder to subtract it from our snake body. And as you can see here, my the technique that you can move actually those anchor points in a body. Many people actually didn't know that and always contacted me on Facebook or like YouTube to ask what I did there and if there was a white shape in front of our body. No, it's actually subtracted. There's nothing in it, and you can just move those anchor points. So yeah, many people didn't know that actually, but it's a very cool feature and you should often use it so you don't have to press like Command and Z to redo your shape and start off again, subtract it again. You can just easily grab those anchor points and move them in your shape actually. So I'm going to create I just created the left nostril also, and to give it a more aggressive look, I created a little spiky shape over it. Yeah, looks good. Maybe pull it down a bit because it wasn't really directing or showing to the other shapes. So I think our snake is fine, so just select everything, press Ctrl and G to make a group out of it. Hold down Alt while dragging it to the right side to make a backup in case something happens when you're editing it. And now let's drag in our font again that we just created, our custom font like. And make sure that you select everything and press the Unite button in the Pathfinder, the top left one, so that those little triangles that we created and the font itself get into one shape. Grab our snake, press R to rotate it a bit, and I think for the font, yeah, this looks okay. Bring the font in front of it by right-clicking on it, arranging it, and bring to front. Then give it another color so that we can see it. And actually what I'm going to do now is create a new layer, call it background, select the rectangle tool, and press Ctrl U to get the smart guides right here, so it shows me where our working area is limited to. And I gave it a black background, and just hide it by clicking on the eye on the layer panel. Then give our snake this kind of green color, and there you go. We're just going to like look how our snake looks when the font is in it. Also the name has to be a bit bigger. Also the font is a bit too high in the hive, so just grab everything, go to the centered, this looks okay. Go to the centered anchor point of our transform rectangle and drag it up so that it kind of decreases the height of our font. So now I'm going to hide our reference picture because we don't actually need it anymore. And let's concentrate on the logo itself now. So I'm going to get our font work right there. Press R to rotate it by about 8 degrees, as you can see there. Then click on our shear tool. You have to hold down and click on this to see the shear tool. Then press Shift so it constrains kind of the rotated degree that we got there, and hold down Shift and pull it to the right side until you like the outcome. And yeah, this looks very aggressive right here. The snake is kind of looking at the right side, and also our font is going to this side, so it kind of matches up the style, and this looks very cool. So what we need to do now is kind of, this looks very, like, it doesn't fit together. So we have to make the snake like go around our font work. And for this kind of style, I think we need to extend the snake. And actually, I think we could make the tail of the snake like to follow the shape of a circle. So it kind of swings around our font work, if you can say it like that. And therefore, I'm just going to get our circle tool, and while holding down Alt and Shift, it's constraining its proportions right from the middle where I'm dragging it out, and this looks very cool right there. So yeah, this is just a guide, actually, this circle, and we're going to delete it later on, but I want to make like, let the snake go around this circle shaped path. So pull down the transparency of our circle right there. And now you can see that the tail of our snake actually isn't round. It's, yeah, looks weird actually. But just try to like adjust the splines of our snake to make it look like it's actually round. So it kind of goes around our font work later on. Add an anchor point so it constrains its shape right there. And what I'm going to add now is some supporting lines, so that the snake doesn't look too alone there, right at the middle or behind our font. So give it some spiky shapes around it, also to support the circle type of shape, to give it some a bit more of like a character. So also create some spiky. Whoops. When you missed or when something happened that you can't continue to make those shapes that you started with your pen tool, just go to the latest to the last anchor point that you created and click on it. There will come up a little minus, but that's not going to mean that it's going to delete the anchor point that you just created. It means that it's going to start off from there again. So don't worry if you lost your shape that you wanted to create with the pen tool. Just click on the last anchor point and there you go. So okay, I've just finished the supporting shape right there, but as I told you, I want to like give the snake a circle-like shape, so I'm going to extend our snake's body right there to yeah, just to extend the tail actually. As you can see there, I got like a lot of anchor points that I don't like, so I just deleted them and make sure to smooth out all the other anchor points. And don't worry about the middle part of the body because we are going to delete it later on. Our font work is going to go over it, so don't put that much time in it. Just concentrate on the upper part of the snake's body and the tail and the bottom. The middle can be, yeah, you can see the font is just over it. Alright, so I just adjusted our snake a bit, make it a bit more round and make it look more smooth. Now bring our font work again in the front by arranging it. And what we're going to do now is actually getting the offset path. So get your font, go to path, offset path, make the preview again, give it a big offset like 20 pixels or so. Yeah, I think 80 pixels looks better, or 17 actually. Click on OK. Then unite it, as you can see there. And now you have this whole shape. Just drag the inner and the outer one. But first of all, you had to create a backup of your first shape. So you have actually just, well, at first give it a color so that you can see what you're doing right there. As you can see, the other layer is still in front of it. So let's give it a color. Oops, yeah. As you can see, I changed the color of the stroke and not of my full color. Offset this part again. This time a bit less, like 30 pixels looks good. 13, sorry. And let's recolor it. And there you go. We offset our path 3 times so that it looks like that. That's actually looking a bit weird because everything got like offset it. So we have to work with clipping masks, or you can also just delete the anchor points, but I want to to keep them like, so I can edit them later on. So I'm using clipping masks. This can be a bit of confusing work, but the outcome will look great, and it's often used style for gaming logos. So, or not like gaming logos, for team logos actually, so yeah. So now let's use the clipping mask to kind of delete the middle part of our snake body. Go to the transparency tab, click on make mask while our snake is selected. Then click on the thing, copy the black offset and paste it in the transparency channel of the snake. And as you can see, the middle part of the body got deleted. Also make sure that you paste it with Control and F, not Control and V. So if you press Control and V, it's going to move your copied layer to some other space, but Control F will paste it right in front of where you got it from. As you can see, there are like these little green boxes everywhere. That's from the that came from the offsetting. So check where it came from. Just click on one anchor point or all the other ones and press delete on your keyboard to delete them. Oh, I misclicked. Just press delete, as you can see, and they're gone. You could also use clipping masks there, but I really don't want to keep them, so I'm just going to delete them right here. So now you can see that I'm using a clipping mask in combination with a brush. You're just going to press B, give it a black color, and go to the transparency channel of your clipping mask and go over the little green edges right there so that you can delete everything, basically. Change from stroke to full color again, so that it deletes the unwanted corners right there. And there we go. Yeah, I think I'm going to adjust it later on a bit more, so that where the P is right now, there's not going to be like this green edge right there. As you can see here, I just got rid of it again. And yeah, I'm just going to delete all the anchor points here instead of creating a clipping mask again. Also, let me tell you that, listen again now, if you're using clipping masks while being in the CMYK mode, you have to be very carefully when you're exporting it to like Photoshop that's working with an RGB mode. Because the black that you're using on a clipping mask is going to delete everything. But the black from the CMYK mode is more like a gray in the RGB mode. So if you're converting it to the RGB mode, make sure that you're changing every black in the clipping masks to the RGB black and not keeping it the CMYK mode. Otherwise you will have some transparent things in Photoshop that you can see. Like, it isn't deleted. You will see the shapes again in Photoshop. So make sure that you're just going to use the RGB black on clipping masks instead of the CMYK blacks. And yeah, I'm going to show you later on how this works, but... Or actually, I don't know if that's in the tutorial later on, but yeah, just keep in mind that when you want to transform from CMYK mode to RGB, you have to change the black in the transparency colors. It looks black in Illustrator, but actually, if you're having a good monitor, you can see that it's not a black, it's more like a dark gray. So yeah, what I'm doing here is like deleting all the spaces in our outer border, because I don't like that style. I want to have it like a thick outer border without any sharp edges in it, or sharp space in it. And yeah, what we're going to do is actually offset our snake body also and combine it with our border of our font work. Whoa, as you can see, actually the grouping got some issues because I kind of messed up while moving our snake, so I have to redrag all this again. Yeah, put this two right there. Those two to this position. And actually this came in kind of handy because now I can reposition our tongue. Oh, bring in the eye also. Now I can reposition our tongue because I wanted more space in between this, in between our tongue and our like mouth of the snake. Oops, they were grouped, so ungroup them so I can move them individually. So now to go over mistakes, I just grouped the whole snake again. And yeah. Well, now I'm going to offset our snake, and before I made it a compound path, as you could see here, just follow the step. And this time the offset will be like 17 pixels, and now the meter limit comes in handy. As you can see, when I'm cranking up the meter limit, all our edges are not going to be broken up like in those straight lines. It's going to be like the kind of edgy and spiky things are going to extend if you're pulling up the meter limit. But the problem is that it looks kind of weird when you just have too much of this meter limit, so you have to manually adjust all this. And yeah, now I just offsetted the path, united it again, and as you can see here, this is our result of our uniting. Also now make sure to fill up all the spaces in between our how is it called again? Yeah, in our offset path. And yeah, that's going to get a bit more complicated right here now, but yeah, in the end it will look awesome and very complex. What I'm doing here now is adjusting our offset path to make it look more, to let it fit like in our snake body, so that the shapes kind of go hand in hand with the look of our snake. And there you go, we have some issues due to the meter limit, that our spiky tongue right there just got broken up into very hard edges and pieces, so we have to adjust it manually or just keep it like that. But I think I'm going to make it also look spiky and stuff, so yeah. There you go, just delete the anchor points that you don't like. Just continue to adjust the border, make it look spiky just like the snake body. And yeah, that's the whole process now. Don't worry about how it looks right now, because we're just going to add another offset path actually. But yeah, now let's grab all your oh yeah, first of all, go to expand appearance when using the brush tool, and make sure that you unite all this so that you have a rigid body right there. Yeah, so we are going to offset it again, offset path, this time like, yeah, 70 again. Although we just used 13 on the other part. So grab this, make it black. It was just yellow due to to the visibility reasons, and there you go. We're kind of getting the effect slowly, but it's looking good actually. So what we have to do now is a lot of clipping mask work. As you can see right around at the tooth, there's some weird shapes. Also at the middle of our font work, there's a line going through that we don't want there. So grab our snake, go to transparency, make a mask again, use your brush tool, use shapes that you also have in the composition right now to cover specific lines and stuff. So yeah. Also, this is the part where you see on the right the transparency channel, and the black is going to delete things while the white is going to show things. But the black here in the CMYK mode is actually a dark gray in the RGB mode. So when you're going to the RGB mode by clicking on File, Document Setup, I think, and then RGB, you have to change every black in the transparency channel again to the RGB black. Keep that in mind, please. It's a very often made mistake that I see when I get logos from like clients, and yeah. So there you go. Delete this straight line that's going through our font and or that's like dividing our font and our snake. Make a clipping mask again, use your brush tool to kind of separate it. And there I'm going to use a straight line so it kind of matches up the offset path of our snake with the offset part of our font work. So it makes like one line. Now I'm just trying to figure out where this kind of little green shape there is coming from. I just found it. Make a clipping mask again and try to delete it. Whoops. As you can see, it's getting very complicated here. You have so many shapes. Everything is going to get deleted or hidden by a clipping mask. And yeah, it's just a bit of time consuming to find every layer and delete it with the brush tool or just deleting the single anchor points. So just put some little time in. As you can see here, I just grabbed the anchor point and deleted it because I got sick of using the clipping mask. So there's always a way to go around this one. As you can see, there's this weird shape around our tongue, and I just found the layer that is casting this kind of thing right there. So I made a clipping mask, got a black brush and kind of deleted it. But I also wanted to constrain kind of the spiky shape there. So what I did is use our pen tool and made a black shape while constraining the curve of this shape. Go around it, then switch from stroke to fill color, and there you go, it's gone and looking good. There's a little spike right there, so this could be handled by just dragging in our shape there. Actually, those little issues don't have to be handled with. No one is going to see them. Maybe in print it's going to be a problem. So then you can just expand the appearance later on and fix it easy. There you go. We are getting the effect slowly. It's coming in. We have to make like 3 to 4 major changes and some little ones. So yeah. Look now, there you see that if you're using a different color than black, like a dark gray, it's not going to hide it fully, it's going to get transparent. Because how the transparency channel works is like white is going to show everything, black is going to hide everything. If you're using like mid-gray tone, it's just 50% transparency. Keep that in mind. It's the basics of designing. Shadow maps in After Effects, clipping masks in Photoshop and Illustrator, and now I just colored our snake body and our font work white, made it a group and centered it right to the middle. Make a backup again in case something happens. Also, don't forget to save in between all these steps, like Ctrl and S to save real quick. What I did now is again press Ctrl R to get our to get this little ruler right there. Just drag down from our top left corner right there, or yeah. And you can also like rotate our guidelines so that I kind of achieve the degree line there that I also wanted from for our, how is it called again? I'm missing the word. For our border. So as you can see there, I just copy and pasted the shape and pull down the line right to our guideline. As you can see, it's matching up the border, the offset border pretty well. Looks good right now. And the only thing that doesn't look very good right now is the lower point of our font. But that's going to get fixed by just deleting these anchor points of the green line there. There you go, one by one it's gone. And yeah. Yeah, now I just have to delete the line that's separating our font with the snake rounded up body. Make sure that you kind of get those spiky shapes everywhere so the logo has a constant look and not like in one area of the logo everything is spiky, at the other area of the logo everything is blocked up and like rectangular. So kind of make sure that you have a consistent look on your logo. That's the word I was searching for, consistent. So yeah. And in your project, try to have as less as anchor, again the failure, to have as less anchor points as possible, because everything will look more round up and clean. Because the more anchor points you have, the more breaks you will see in your shapes. So yeah. Alright, now I'm going to delete the line that is dividing our font work with our logo. There you go, switch from stroke to normal color again. Do the same one, the same steps on the right side. So, and this is it for the purpose of our tutorial. Later on I added some more details that I'm going to show you right now, or that I also showed you in the beginning. But if you liked it, comment, subscribe, leave a like, and suggest me some more tutorials, please. And also, if you want a custom made logo from me, just contact me on Facebook and we can talk about the pricing and stuff. So, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Again, until the next time, Armageddon videos.